Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is J. Darren Gross. This is the podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today, my guest is Stephanie Boldrini. Stephanie is originally from Brazil and moved to Silicon Valley 20 years ago. After a successful career in tech sales, she decided to focus on commercial real estate investing, where she has achieved over 36% cash on cash returns. She is also the host of the Commercial Real Estate Investing from A to Z podcast. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Stephanie about how to manage your assets remotely. But first, a quick reminder. If you like our show, CREPN Radio, a couple of things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how attractive our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Stephanie. Welcome to CREPN Radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Darren. It's a pleasure.
Well, I'm delighted to have you and looking forward to our conversation. Before we get started, if you could share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Yes. So I've been in Silicon Valley for about 20 years now and decided to start doing some investments and quickly learned that real estate is a phenomenal form of investment for many reasons, and decided to learn with a good friend of mine that was a very successful real estate investor. And that's when I got started about 3 years ago.
Awesome. And had you done any other types of investing before real estate or just jump right in?
Yes, in the stock market and as an angel investor in tech startups, which it's very difficult to make it find the successful exit for the startups as an angel investor.
Right. Now the big wins and big losses is kind of what I've come to understand, in that the opportunity is wide open. But I'm curious, in the startups, do you know kind of percentage-wise the number of successes to failure, or the failure rate over successes?
I know the failure is more than 90%. I don't know where in the 90s it falls, but it's pretty high. It's probably more than restaurants.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So what was the attraction for you to get into real estate?
Great question. Well, at least comparing to angel investing, it was very little risk, and you can leverage your money. So with 100K, you can buy 500K worth of property, or with 100K in the stock market, you buy 100K worth of stocks. So it's the beauty of leverage, and rent increases over time, and also the ability to add value, which if you increase the income, even if 10K a year, that significantly increases the value of your property based on cap rates. So it's a really interesting form of investment that I highly recommend people learning about.
No, I'm in the choir with you. I love both of those. The leverage and the ability to improve, and the incremental improvement to the oversized valuation increase is just it's huge.
Yeah.
So currently, what are the asset classes that you're currently invested in?
At this moment, car washes, self-storage, and short-term rentals.
All right, so car washes. Tell me a little bit about underwriting a car wash. Is it just the building, or is it actually the business with the property?
For better or for worse, the business with the property. And I had no idea about anything related to car washes. I didn't even know what a bay was. But yeah, I was educated on the retail space and analyzing a property pretty well. And so this said, how hard can it be to manage a car wash? And so it's been quite a journey. The returns are great, but it's a lot of work. And I'm still pondering if I should expand that part of the business or not. And so there's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of literally parts that you have to buy and SKUs and employees that you have to manage and everything in between.
God, I was going to ask you if these were self-serve or if you had actual employees doing the washing.
It's self-serve, but you still need the employees there daily to fix things and pick up the garbage that people leave behind, and something breaks every day or people try to break into the property, and it's all kinds of things.
Yeah. No, it's sad sometimes, just the I don't know, the way people treat things. I know just the trash or the and I don't think you get away from that from any other property. I know I've got apartment properties where the neighbors or whoever loves to use my dumpster and constantly getting charged for the overage there. So a little bit of the fun with real estate investing, but it's small pain for the upside there.
Yeah.
So tell me, underwriting an apartment, or not an apartment, but a car wash. I mean, I don't know that I've talked to anybody yet that's investing in car washes. I'm curious. I mean, I'm assuming like the income and the expenses are fairly straightforward.
Yep.
How do you tell me a little bit about the location of a car wash? I don't know. I'm assuming weather pattern might play into it. I don't know. What do you look for when you underwrite for a car wash?
So as I learned as I was underwriting these car washes was that, well, the number one thing in terms of value add is adding credit card machines if that car wash does not only accept coins at that point. And I think a lot of people that have owned car washes for many years, they have not implemented any technology at all. So there's a lot of opportunity out there with those car washes. And so I found out that, with credit card usage, the timer goes up. And so people really take their time on washing their cars. And when they use coins, the timer goes down. So they really think that they only have those 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And so it's a way to add value. There are other ways to add value, like adding a dog wash of all things. And you can rent part of it to a snow cone vendor as well, part of your property, which apparently they go hand in hand together, car washes and snow cones. And as far as weather, yes, it definitely has, it makes a difference where it snows. People will wash their cars right after, right? Because they don't want the salt ruining their cars. And so there are all kinds of things that I learned along the way, and those are some of them.
Right. So is there any kind of like a population size, or is it more about traffic, or what's I mean, I'm just trying to think, because a lot of times I think of like proximity to the property. You want to have certain benchmarks as far as like population or income or maybe drive or cars going by kind of thing. What are some of the parameters you look at when you're underwriting for a car wash?
So these were existing car washes, and so I did not do any population analysis there.
Okay.
I found out that the owner really didn't even bother to update their Google business. And so I put the correct address there, and now I understand how many people click. Everybody's searching for these things now on their phones nowadays. But yeah, definitely location. I'd say the one that is closest to the more affluent area is the one that does the better and gets the least amount of break-ins. and the other one that has not such a great location is not very visible. It does not perform as well. So definitely location and visibility is important. And so those are some things that to keep in mind. One thing that I would have done differently moving forward for a brand new asset class would be to go to a conference right away and really get to know a lot of people in the industry, all the vendors, and understand who is the best, and have people to call if I run into any issues. So that's one thing I did not do that I would have done differently before purchasing them. And then now, I'm part of Facebook groups that are focused on these businesses, and you can always get help, thank God, for the internet online. But nothing beats face-to-face until now.
Yeah, definitely agreed on that. So where are your car washes? Are they local to where you are, or where are your car washes located?
They are far, 2 flights away from me, sadly.
Okay.
They're in north of Texas.
Okay. Did you say Marfa, Texas, or North
North,
Texas?
North.
North. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought for a minute, I thought Marfa. I know what it is. I think there's a lot of people in Marfa. So, gotcha. And so the associate, or they're both in the same community, or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So to that, let's talk a little bit about how you manage your properties remotely. In this case, who are some of the people on your team that you have that you need?
Yeah, another great question. And my mentor always said to invest within 2-hour driving distance from where you live, and I agree with him 100%. But where I live, things are extremely expensive, and so I decided to explore other areas to invest in. And again, with the internet, I think we can manage things successfully remotely. So some of the things that I did right away was to install cameras inside and outside of the property, an alarm system that notifies me when an employee is there, when they lock the property. I installed a coin counter because I don't know how much coins are coming in. And now I do. So you have the ability to see if they're collecting the proper amount or not. And I have help in terms of virtual assistants that I have on my team who pick up calls from customers and refund them or answer questions. And so those are some of the things that have helped a lot with regards to managing remotely. And another thing that people should always do is obviously go there and meet everybody that you've worked with up until the time you buy the property, and ask for referrals. So I've asked for referrals for contractors, property managers, employees, and have had success with that. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but asking for referrals is super critical, because you don't know who is good or not when you're entering a new market. And so that's another tip there.
No, that's good. I'm just thinking of the structure, and again, in my mind, I have a picture of a car wash, kind of a self-service thing, kind of a doors, or I don't know, I guess there could be doors, maybe not doors, but basically a bay where you pull your vehicle in, and then there's a wand and a hose above the thing, and you can walk all the way, and a drain below it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, there's always the cash or the change maker. You'd stick your bills in, and the change would come down, and you'd stick those in there, but beyond that, I'm trying to think, what are the physical, are there any other physical asset or concerns? I mean, obviously, you got to have water and soap and that, but I'm just trying to think, you mentioned lock up. Do they lock the bays up at night, or do they lock is there a perimeter gate to the property, or how is it that they lock up the property?
No, it's just the control room where all the pumps and everything else is.
Gotcha.
But the bays are open.
Gotcha. And are there hours then on the on the property? Is it?
It's open 24 hours.
Okay. Okay. And no, I'm curious. Is there any? I would think water would be one of your biggest expenses. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but the returns are great. It's an average of about 50-50, 50%. Exactly.
Gotcha. And what about financing for a car wash? Is it, I mean, they just basically off the NOI is basically the way that they value it, or how does the bank look at your financing, or is it more of a debt cover ratio thing, same as another commercial property?
It was debt and the down payment as well, but I did not have any experience. So rightfully so, the first couple of banks declined me, and the third also declined me, and I said, let's talk.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with the president of the bank, who was it's a local bank over there, and explained, all of my other experience with everything else, and that the numbers made sense. And it was literally a conversation. It probably was 5 or 10 minutes long, and they agreed. We both mutually agreed on some things that we were both given. And so that's how I managed to get that first loan. And now I have a few loans with that bank and a great relationship with them.
No, I love kind of the local commercial banks or just commercial lenders.
Mm-hmm.
I find them so easy to work with if you have a solid plan and can communicate that, and you have it in writing. I always remember the first commercial loan I got. It was basically just two guys sitting around a table, and I was going over the numbers, and they said, "Okay, well, Tuesday the loan committee meets, and we'll call you."
Yeah.
And sure enough, they called and they said, "Okay, when do you want the money?" I was like, "Cool," as opposed to any kind of a Fannie or Freddie kind of a loan. I mean, it's like all of the information you have to provide, and then the waiting and the waiting and the waiting. So I'm a big fan of the small commercial banks.
Yeah. And they were all referred by the realtor that I was working with.
Yeah.
So I always recommend people to work with local banks to the market that they're purchasing in.
No, that's great. And so how did you find this on the internet, or how did you find I mean, when you're looking for a car wash to buy, did you go LoopNet, or did you zero in on the market, or how did you find North Texas Car Wash?
I was originally looking for a self-storage property, and the owner was selling a portfolio of properties. And that's the only reason why I got into car washes. The numbers made sense. Yeah, people can find them on LoopNet, Crexi, and there are also some brokers that specialize in car washes. Another value add is, these car washes take a while to sell. Some of them take a year or longer, so you can negotiate the price down. And again, also have a great return just by a matter of negotiating the price down, because they take so long to sell. And I think today in all asset classes, a lot of people are retiring and they are selling properties. So try to find these people that haven't really implemented any technology in their properties. And if you go in the car wash route, you can definitely negotiate on pricing.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the value add strategy. You mentioned putting the credit card, or being able to take credit cards. Is that just on the? I'm just trying to think where you put the money instead of putting in coins.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you slide the card through, and that's basically it.
Exactly.
So, and you mentioned that the time went up. I'm curious. Can you quantify the revenue increase from before and after, percentage wise, or?
Believe it was because we had a few expenses last year to add these machines, and some of it we're taking from the income. I have not been able to calculate that yet. I want to calculate it this year, but I would say at least 10% increase at the very least, and very likely more.
All right. And beyond that, though, cash positive
Oh yeah.
amount there.
Oh yeah. It's at this point it's probably 40 to 50% return.
Wow. And what is the cap rate that the car washes trade for?
It depends on the location and what kind of car wash, if they're older or newer, but anywhere from 6 to 8 or 9% cap.
That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Compared to the continuing to
compression.
squeeze. Yeah, I was gonna say the 4, 3.5. I mean, that's pretty low there. But well, that's encouraging. And did you find anywhere that you could less or lower your expenses?
Lower expenses, not right now because I am remote. So I had to increase the employee hours. So at this point, we have not decreased expenses, but we are obviously always looking into that.
Sure. No, because I was just trying to think of what could you decrease. I mean, unless you had a water leak or something like that, and you found it, and but I guess that's that. Well,
Some
that's
chemicals
interesting.
are expensive, so you could probably look into cheaper chemicals for the car washes. Some
Okay.
of them are really, really, really pricey, and they don't make any difference at all. This one was not the pricey one, but I've seen very pricey chemicals out there.
Okay. And are there salespeople that call on you for that, or do you basically go out to the marketplace and get those supplies, or how's that?
It's a little bit of both. Purchase from a particular website, or there was a local vendor actually that approached me, and so been doing business with them because they deliver free shipping, and so they've been very, very good partners.
Gotcha. And so your car wash, and did you also buy the self storage as well?
Yes.
Okay. And how many units or on the self storage is it? How is it based on the number of bays, or how do you when you speak about a self storage unit, is it like number of storage spaces or
Number of doors.
number of doors? Okay.
Yes.
And
So
so yeah, tell
yeah.
me how that looks.
Oh, I love self-storage. It's probably 1% of the amount of work of the car washes.
Oh, okay.
The returns are not as phenomenal, but it's still a really, really incredible asset class that I love. It has proven over and over again that, it's recession resistant, and it does well when the economy does well too. So it's a very strong asset class. And it's also a business too, just like I think multifamily, because you really are on a day-to-day dealing with people and things, unlike retail and office, right? When you get or industrial, that you get a very long-term lease. So it's active, but it's it's a really good and safe, I think, asset class.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about self-storage. I mean, I think as long as or a couple of people I've talked to have indicated that a lot of the municipalities are not wanting to build anymore, which is kind of puts a containment on the supply, which, is helpful. I don't know that's always true because I know around here in Portland, I see them popping up all over the place. But I suppose depending on where you are and stuff, that could be a keep out the competition kind of thing.
Definitely in San Francisco, there is
Yeah.
like 3 little slivers of three three buildings that we can build in. It's yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on the city. Exactly.
And as far as the self-storage, the business, uh, have you implemented any value add strategies for that, or?
So for again owners that have owned for a while, a really good value add is to obviously increase rents if the rents are below market compared to your local competition, and also you can decrease costs. So we've implemented rent increases and also made sure that most people are paying with a credit card, and if they're not, we charge an additional $5 every month for not paying credit with a credit card, just because it takes time to follow up and do everything. So yeah, there are many ways to add value there, but some of it also takes some investment, like, adding a automatic lock on all the doors. If they don't pay by the due date, it automatically gets locked. So there are a few things that you can do to add value. Automatic gate code for each tenant. That is a different code for every tenant. But all of these are investments as well.
I love that if the bill's due on the 1st and you haven't paid, the door locks and you can't get into your unit. Does it keep you from getting into the complex? Is that?
I don't have that, right? I have not implemented that myself, but yes, it would lock you out. You cannot get in.
Okay. No, it's I've seen these programmable locks and stuff, and I hadn't really thought it through as far as in application on self-storage and that, but I think, that's perfect.
Yeah, and some of them people can open with their phone with an app. So it's really here to stay. A lot of self-storage facilities are going without employees, which is another value add that people don't really talk about, cutting employee costs. And so, with these younger crowds, they really don't like talking to people on the phone. They prefer to just click some buttons.
Yeah, I'm painfully aware of that. So as far as the operating expenses on a self-storage, what do you have? Electricity? Not any. Is there any? I guess minimal water. I would think maybe a bathroom or something like that. I mean, because there's no cooking or
no toilets, no tenants.
Yeah. At least they're not supposed to live there. That's and then I mean, just the fact that you've got it tied to a credit card where they have to pay or be locked out. That's great. I'm trying to think what are the employee duties in something like that? Is it basically kind of same kind of clean up trash kind of stuff for that?
Yeah.
Or is there...
Lock, unlock, give keys to new tenants, and everything in between. But that's much less maintenance than the car washes.
Yeah. And what kind of cap rate are you seeing for the self-storage?
Oh, they are going down. They're very low nowadays, also, depending on location, anywhere from 4.5 to 6.5, I would say.
Okay. So, yep, competition. People want them. Well, that's a good thing. If you have one and you want to sell, you've got an opportunity. I mean, at least the flip side of that is there's demand and you can sell. As opposed to having a 10 or a 12 cap and nobody wants it. And it's yours, congratulations, you own it. So that's good. So are you looking anywhere else as far as other markets, or was this I guess back up here a second. You indicated it was portfolio opportunity, but how did you find this opportunity to begin with?
Online on Crexi.
Okay, on Crexi. Okay. Okay. And are you looking elsewhere for additional similar type properties, or?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Looking wherever it makes sense, even in California. Right. Where the numbers make sense, there is potential value add or ability to build and expand the facility, or decrease costs. It can be any of the above.
All right. And are you investing these solo? Or are you raising any money, doing any syndication? How are you doing these?
I'll eventually do a syndication, but at this point, I just wanted to show some numbers to future syndicators and show them, look, I'm not just a newbie coming in, and here are the numbers and what we were able to accomplish with these properties.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that, is to know what you're doing before you go out and tell everybody you do. I think it's somewhat challenging, I think, and maybe it's just a personality thing. I know there are some people that just can grab the idea and all of a sudden be running out there, um, trumpeting the plan of like, we're going to be the best kind of thing. And they're like, but you've never done this before. As opposed to somebody that has experience and knows, where the bodies are hidden and can avoid any kind of or not avoid, but has a track record of overcoming the challenges. I think that's probably true in anything. And I'm certain, anybody that's done this for any length of time has found those surprises they hadn't planned on. So, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There will always be another recession. And I always wondered how these multifamily people buying at 3.5%, 4% cap, how they are approaching, a 10% vacancy rate when something happens, because, inevitably it will happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything has been great until now, but you have to be prepared when something happens.
Agreed. And I think that, the cycle, there's always a cycle to it. I mean, that's unavoidable. But I think that one of the challenges I think that we have is just the condition of being human, is that our memory is kind of short, as far as the pain.
Yeah.
And while we can look at a graph and recognize that it happens every so many years, these things happen. The weird thing is, like right now, with all of the artificial, money that's been, put into the system, it kind of, it definitely delays the inevitable. But I also wonder if there's not the yin and yang of it, and that if you put that much money more into it, the drop is that much bigger. You know what I'm saying? That that you can have like even a much more larger effect. Although clearly it seems that since 2008 and stuff, the Fed and that have been able to continue to keep things going. But now we're dealing with inflation, significant inflation, and so I guess we will know when we know, when we're there. So, or probably not even when we're there, but after the fact. I mean, that's usually so. But anyway, hey, Stephanie, if we could, I'd like to shift gears here for a second. By day, I'm an insurance broker, and I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there are 3 strategies that we typically look at as options when we're trying to assess the risk. The first is we look to see if we can avoid the risk. And if we cannot avoid it, then we look to see if there's a way to minimize the risk. And when we cannot avoid nor minimize the risk, then we look to see if we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is a risk transfer vehicle. And I like to ask my guests if they can look at their own situation. Could be the market, could be political, could be interest rates, it could be, the money that's been put in the system, however you want to frame the question and the answer. But if you can look at your situation and identify what you consider to be the biggest risk. And for clarification, while I am an insurance broker, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance related answer. And if you're willing, I'd like to ask you, Stephanie Boldrini, what is the biggest risk?
For myself personally, that I am in right now would probably be cryptocurrency. I avoided it for a decade that I know it, unfortunately. And finally decided to put some money there. I think that is my biggest risk today. I put a little bit of money there, but I had a very short epiphany right now with talking to you that, with the government printing so much money, there is also $200 billion that crypto money that it was created out of thin air, right? So is the government really interested in making them illegal? I don't know, maybe not, because that is keeping the economy going, right? There's $200 billion more out there. that people are spending or trading, and it's that the government did not even have to print themselves. So will they really make it illegal, which is what I thought for the last decade? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know that whole crypto thing. I'm kind of a slow ski on all that stuff as far as the recognizing. Although I do find the blockchain technology to be viable,
Hmm.
just in multiple applications, and I think that's here to stay.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time believing that crypto as a a means of payment will be, or just a currency will go away. As much as I kind of wonder who's going to be the winner, and will all of them be around, or which ones will be the standards? I guess kind of more of the issue there. But I guess again, we'll know when we get there. I think. So good luck with
Yes.
that. So
Thank you.
yeah. So Stephanie, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
I'm on all social medias with my name, and also my website, montecarlorei.com.
Awesome. Well, Stephanie, I can't say thanks enough for taking the time to talk today. I've enjoyed our talk, learned a lot, and I look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you so much, Darren. I really appreciate it.
You got it. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.